Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Max, and unfortunately, I've got a problem. For years, I've been using small notebooks like these that fit in my back pocket to record notes, make lists, all that jazz. However, today I just filled out my last one, and I realize I've been had. You see, small notebooks like these are often sold in packs of 3 for about $10 to $12. But what if I told you that you could make one for 1/10 of that? I don't know what I'm doing, but I have an idea. First off, if you wanted to make a perfect and pretty notebook, this video isn't for you. Today we're making them quick, dirty, and on the cheap. The workperson's notebook, if you will. Each of these pre-made pocket notebooks measure about 3.5 by 5.5 inches and usually has about 16 unfolded sheets of paper per notebook. And if you open it up, you'll see that they're about half of a sheet of regular letter or A4 paper, which means we only need 8 sheets of letter or A4 paper to fill an entire notebook. Now, I'm not kidding about the price. Little notebooks like these usually cost around $3 to $4 per notebook. However, you can buy loose leaf letter-sized paper in packs of 100 sheets for about $3 to $4, less if you buy them in bulk. If you only need to make one notebook, 8 sheets can also be pulled from the recycling bin, your printer tray, or maybe even your local library or place of work. Now, as far as these rigid covers go, we can reuse old cereal or tissue boxes, heavy-duty construction paper, or make something a little more durable that can be reused with future notebooks. For our first notebook, I'm going to be using standard materials that I think most people should have access to. Loose leaf sheets of 3-hole punch paper, a stapler, and a cereal box. All right, let's get cracking. So first things first, each one of these notebooks tends to come with about 24 to 32 sheets of paper in there, or individual leaves, and we can get the same count out of 8 sheets of regular letter-sized paper. Like I was saying earlier, you can get about 3 of these pre-made for about $12. You can get about 300 sheets of letter-sized paper for about $12. What that all roughly runs out to, you can make 37 of these homemade notebooks for the same price that you can buy 3 of these, which is pretty significant. So let's go ahead and get started and make this guy. So let's count out 8. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna do a little bit more. Rather than doing 8, I'm gonna do 10. Just to make it nice and even. What I recommend is that when you're cutting, make sure that you've got little clips on either side. They can be anything really that provides enough support to make sure that the sheets don't slide around while you're cutting them. When you put pressure on the top versus pressure, on the bottom as you're doing the kind of scissors movement, it can make the sheets slide, and instead of having 2 sheets that are all cut on. These have reinforced 3-hole punch holes, and so I'm just gonna start by cutting those out of here. It's just plastic covered paper and is not really needed for this project, so we'll stick those aside. If you know the exact measurement that you're getting, then you're probably fine. Since this is grid paper, I can just mark wherever in that grid that 5.5 is supposed to be, and we're gonna cut these guys down the middle, stack them on top of each other, and then fold them. Make sure that you've got the clips on there. I almost did not do that, so we're gonna try this again. If you've done it right, you'll now have 2 roughly equal sized stacks of paper. I would recommend stacking them on top of each other in a way so that you have at least one perfect right angle where the original cut was. That way, when you're trimming these edges, we can trim these up, but we'll know that at least these 2 sides will be flush. So now, we're gonna make our cover here, and you can get 2 covers per side of this, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and go for here. If you wanted to get a particular design, you could also do that instead. I'm just going to trace a little outline here in the cardboard with my pencil, and yeah, it looks good. It only just occurred to me now the absolute look of horror that this has while I'm cutting his face apart. That's nice. So now we've got both the sheets of paper and the cardboard. So I've got my right angle here, and I'm gonna look for the best corner here, and I think it's this one. I'm truing it up to this corner here. And with that, we can fold. One thing that is going to naturally happen when you fold it, the paper on the inside is going to extend further out towards the edge of the paper, and the paper on the inside is gonna kind of recede a little bit. And that's just because the distance from the fold is slightly different. end, and that slight difference is enough. Now, if I were a smart man, I would have cut this, I would have cut the cover to be a little bit wider than the rest of the sheets here, but so here we are. So already now you can see that it looks like a notebook and has a much lovelier design than the basic grays and blacks that you often see for Moleskine and whatever else. I'm gonna show you 2 ways to staple this in place. If we're not 100% sure where the perfect edge of the binding is going to be, we can just use a big Sharpie and draw down the line like that. And now when we unfold it, we've got exactly where the crease will be. So the first kind of relies on you having a deeper, capable stapler. For example, I've got this older Swingline here. So I'm gonna put, already, you know, that looks good. I'm gonna show you how to do it if you don't have a stapler that can go all the way through. What I recommend is having some other piece of cardboard, some other kind of stock like this that is permeable. Let's get one of these guys in. It's gonna puncture all the way through and staple into the cardboard. And you'll notice that in here, instead of being nicely folded over, it's sticking straight out. And we can just either use our fingers to push them in, or if our fingers are tired, you can just use your scissors or another implement to kind of force them inwards. So I'm just gonna do the same thing now next to that to give it a little more reinforcement. I found that when I was trying to do that using this piece of wood, that the staple only went down as far as the wood and then stopped, which was of course a problem, and then it would like crumple over or not quite go through all the way. We are almost done here. We've still got the trimming on the side that needs to happen. The top and bottom look pretty good, or good enough for me. So I'm going to just make ample use of these alligator clips because I don't want anything sliding around while I'm cutting it. All right, now the one last finishing touch, and this is totally optional, but I recommend rounding these corners here. And the reason is that these corners, when they stick out, are significantly more likely to get bent and frayed versus a rounded corner. I am actually gonna trim some of the excess here. You can see along the bottom here, there's a single thread of this, or a few sheets that have really stuck out here. So I'm just gonna trim that down too. And here we go. Here is our 40 sheet notebook that you can't get. Hello everyone, Future Max here. I realized after shooting this that there was something else that I could do that would make this a little easier to use. I tried opening up and flipping it, and the first half worked pretty well, but I reach a point where I can't really flip because the internal pages overlap the external pages, and so it makes it very difficult for me to flip through. So what I was thinking is I would try cutting this half here and making it a little easier to flip through perhaps. So we're gonna give that a shot and see how that goes. It appears I have in fact made that problem worse. So let me see, because I think, right? Like maybe if I do, look, all right, I never claimed to know what I was doing. So if you came here looking for that, you came to the wrong place. That works a little better. I still feel like, and of course now it looks raggedy AF in there, but that's fine. That's mostly fine. Yeah, I think that's mostly fine. We'll live with that. It's more roughshod than the mass-produced version, but that just gives it character. I'll be using it every day for the next few weeks, and I'll let you know how it holds up over time. All right, everyone, thank you all for watching. This is the first video in my notebook series, and I'll be back next time with something a little more complex. Maybe a reusable cover, but don't wait for YouTube's algorithm to tell you what to watch. Take control of one tiny aspect of your life and get subscribed. If this video helped you make a notebook and break your Moleskine habit, let me know how it went in the comments below. What did you end up using for a cover? The full music credits are in the description down below, where you'll also find some relevant links and anything else I feel like putting there. Goodbye!